Welcome back, everybody. You're at CE Tech Tips, and I have something special for you today. I have the ASUS ROG Strix G15. I think this one's going to be the one that's in the Goldilocks zone. I've been looking for a notebook for my wife and a little bit for me, looking for something that could do some gaming, and I'm excited to do an unboxing video for you today. So this unit here is the i7-10750H. That seems to be the processor of choice for all these gaming notebooks. 16 gigs of RAM. It also has the GTX 2070, but 115 watts. So I'm really excited to put through the paces on that unit today, as well as this has the liquid metal cooling application. So it's a thermal paste that actually keeps the processor and GPU cool. It's supposed to give it an extra 10 degrees cooler to help offset the thermals, and it actually is supposed to allow the GPU to boost even higher. So excited to see what that actually looks like in practice. So without further ado, let's get at it. All right. This one I pre-ordered a few weeks ago, so I'm excited to see what this one looks like. There it is. Comes out to greet you, just like the last one, the G17. Let's take a peek at this guy. Wow. So immediately not as heavy as its big brother, which is a good thing. We got the power brick, same one as before. Couple manuals. Those don't look very important. And I'm gonna guess there's nothing in this one over here. What do you think? Correct, nothing. All right, let's put this aside. Let's take a peek at this guy. So the screen on this is a 144 Hertz G-Sync screen, IPS of course. And it also has, I think, a 66 watt-hour battery. So we'll see actually how well that actually does in some of the benchmarks. So there it is there. Looking good. So overall, it's a plastic design for the chassis. It's got this textured look on it, just like the 17-inch model. It does look sharp, great for fingerprint resistant for those oily hands, and some venting on the back here. All right, so I've had the G15 for about 3 days now. I've been putting it through its paces. So opening up the unit underneath, we have, of course, our i7-10750H, along with the dual channel 16 gigs of memory. This unit features 3 NVMe ports. One's populated with a 512 gig SSD. And the nice thing about this unit is actually it comes from the factory with liquid metal thermal paste. And so the nice thing about this is they claim that it gives another 10-degree cooler at the same operating temperature. So the benefit to this is actually it should be able to hold higher clock speeds on the CPU and GPU longer before you get into your thermal limit. Or you can actually keep it running a little bit quieter while you're gaming and or doing other productivity tasks within your notebook. This battery is the smallest I've tested, meaning that it pretty much can't be unplugged from the wall for very long without it going to sleep on you. But overall, this unit has been decent build quality. You know, this is more kind of a budget-oriented unit. The nice thing is that it still has the one finger open, which is nice. The chassis itself, though, is all plastic. They did do a little bit of trickery around it. They did some molding, so it does look nice. And even the touch of the deck, it's got this textured feel, but it is still plastic. but it's a nice trick by their part. Still decent though. I like it. You know, it shaves down the weight a little bit, but overall it's pretty nice. There's definitely more premium out there in terms of feel. So the screen on this is 144 hertz, 3 millisecond response time. This gets us 100% of the sRGB, which is nice. The one thing though I have a complaint on is the screen bleed. As you can see, there is challenges around the screen. You obviously get the normal IPS backlight glow, but you can see in the left-hand corner as well as along the top that I am getting a pretty good bleed on this unit. So your experience may vary. But however, the one thing that's nice about the ASUS model, and this one particularly, is it has a 1-year standard warranty, but also includes accidental. And so this is the full 360 coverage, the surge, spills, drops. It's quite nice. You don't have to pay extra for that right out of the gate. Talking about the keyboard and the trackpad, the keyboard actually has a really nice key travel to it. Not that much flex, less flex than the actual G17 in fact. But my wife doesn't like the divot on the W key. I know it's being a gaming notebook, but she just says it's hard to get used to that little divot. Overall, the trackpad, it's very smooth. It's not a glass unit, but it's got a very nice texture to it, so it's very smooth, not very loud, and of course the 2 buttons on it. So on the left side, we have 3 USB 3 ports, along with headphone and or microphone in. On the back, we have your standard RJ45 network port, HDMI port, as well as a USB Type-C port, and your typical power barrel adapter. Let's get into some gaming benchmarks and some productivity benches. So going through some of the benches, PC Mark 10, the G15 edged out its bigger brother, the G17, just with the smaller GPU. What I wanted to do on the gaming benchmarks is actually show off the max performance of the device, but then actually give you some benches at the end, just talking about the different thermal profiles that you can use between silent, performance, and turbo. So the first one you're going to see is max performance, all turbo settings. So the first one out of the gate is Call of Duty Modern Warfare at 1080p. Max settings, ray tracing on, tessellation set to near, 84 frames, so just over the 2060 and just below the 2070 Super Max Qs at 90 watt. Now getting into Shadow of the Tomb Raider, saw this at the highest settings come in at 88 frames per second on average. And then moving into the 3D Mark tests, this one actually on Time Spy edged out even the 2070 Supers at 9251. Also saw the same thing happen in Firestrike Extreme, 7650. Moving into Anno 1800, this one stumped me again. It's 100 frames per second. It not only beat every single one in the mix, so again, I think this has to do with just it's more CPU oriented in the benchmarks, and it was able to hold its own quite well against everyone else, becoming the record holder thus far. Metro Exodus, again, right in around that spot, slightly higher than 2060, but all the way below the 2070 Supers. So I added a new bench to the mix this time around, Death Stranding. So this is actually a pretty cool game in itself, but what I wanted to showcase in this is actually the different performance settings. Turbo, 97 frames per second. Performance came in at 95 frames per second, and silent came down to 86, but was very playable. And even playing this over time, I didn't see any real stuttering at all. It was quite nice. Easily could even use the speakers on board to play the game, and it was great experience overall. Moving over to Forza Horizon 4, so VSync off, all ultra settings. Silent came in at 93 frames per second. Performance at 110 frames per second, and on turbo settings 117 frames per second. Again, that a little bit extra at the top end really didn't make sense. Moving over to Red Dead Redemption 2. So this is definitely a more stressful game. All ultra settings, 1080p. At silent mode, this game struggled, 27 frames per second. Moving over to performance mode, definitely playable, 54 frames per second, and of course turbo at 56. Now this was very audible in the turbo setting, so you're definitely going to want a headset when you're playing with that on that setting for sure. And you can hear some of the sound clips throughout this. So certainly on silent, you can't hear anything. Performance, you're starting to get up into that zone where it's certainly audible. And turbo, I would say, is not playable without wearing a headset. And then the final game that I want to touch on is coming back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Turbo settings 71, performance at 68, and silent at 58. And this again was very playable, very quiet, nice and playable. You can certainly run that off of the onboard speakers if you wish. So final thoughts on the ASUS ROG Strix G15. Well, you know, I do like the unit. I think ASUS got a great unit here, found a good balance between performance and aesthetics, as well as getting that price point right in line. This one came at $1950 for me. This was quite decent. It certainly edges out the 2060. It's a decent weight ratio. Came in at 5 pounds 4 ounces, so just a little bit heavier than the HP Omen 2020. But the one thing that I do like about this is I'm a fan of the RGB and the wraparound. It's decent. It looks quite nice overall. I find that you know, if it's too bright, you can always turn it down or right off. So it's not one of those things that you really have to worry about. So what do I like about it? Well, I do like the trackpad. The trackpad is nice. The aesthetics overall are very good. I think that ASUS did a great balance between the aesthetics, the looks. Overall, the thermals have been decent across the board. I think the liquid metal that is put into this unit really helps keep those thermals under control. They found a really good mix on that front. Things that I don't like about it. I don't like the battery. I think the battery is too light for you know, a gaming notebook. It would still be nice to have a decent watt-hour battery. I know the MSI products actually go right up to 99.9, the legal limit of airlines. So that's impressive. I'm going to bring one of those in because I think I want to test that and see what that's going to look like. I think it's good value for the money. $1,950 for this unit. I think you know, it gets a nice profile just above the 2060. This one is only a few $200 to $300 more than a 2060. So overall, I really like this unit. So is this the right one for our family? The balance between gaming and productivity, lightweight. I think the verdict's still out. I think I'm gonna have to do some more testing, guys. Would I recommend this notebook? You know what? I think this is in the top 3. Overall, I do like it. I think ASUS has made a great product here. So I hope you like this video. Please like and or subscribe to the channel. I'd love to get some feedback from you. Leave a comment down below. And until next time, bye for now.